What's up, guys? It is That Pain again. I'm here again with another video, and today we're looking at our second round of Genesis and then our third round after this. There wasn't a crazy good fight in the first round, so I didn't record that, and the second round wasn't long enough for me to make it its own video, so I did mush these two together. Our second round wasn't too eventful. It was pretty good for the zombie fights because we did get a decent, field skirmish here with 170k. We pushed them back a bit, and then we also kind of circled back up. I think it was like half our guys coming back up to kill the zombies, and then we noticed that TMPS actually pushes up here, and we're like, wait a second, we got to fight these guys, but our main whales are also on the other side actually fighting 170k, so this was a little bit of a conundrum, but it did still turn out well. We did manage to get some good kills here, and it was a pretty good fight. In our next round, we will be having a hard time. I will say we had MXO. If you guys have not watched Bear's video, I would recommend giving it a look-see, because honestly, he had a pretty good video. I love the freaking thumbnails, right? But I did like the first round because I was able to finally see our team on the field from another person's perspective. But basically, we do end up fighting MXO in that round. And I don't know if they would have wanted to ally us, but I didn't reach out to them because I was actually worried that if we did try to ally them in any case, we wouldn't have a good fight. Because realistically, and I know it sounds a little bit arrogant maybe to say, but we are probably one of the stronger teams in Elite in terms of field prowess, be it like overall like kind of upper whale base as well. We have a pretty good whale build and kind of just spread. So I think in Elite we are like one of the higher teams, and this actually like scares a lot of teams off that also would be considered pretty strong from fighting us. So a team like MXO is perfect because they are just ultimately stronger than us. They got a lot more whale power than us, and we were 100% kind of destined to lose, but I knew that if we fought them, we'd at least have a good fight, which I was correct about. They did give us a really good mid fight, although very extremely painful. I've only had a few teams like that I like really think are just crazy. I think it's I haven't fought NTD yet, but I think they'd be a really good fight. OMSB is definitely a good fight. Kako probably would be a good fight, and in this case MXO. But we do have this 170k guy, and he had fought during the zombies, and I think he filled his hospital, and he hadn't been online for when mid opened, and 170 didn't really fight us, so we got to push this base really quickly. I will say we made a mistake by sending an infantry rally here when we could have had Saint rally with his rider and just drop this base a lot faster, because I did think we had the fillers actually to keep this rally full. We didn't really need to send an infantry, whereas this just was like, it was like a slow burn, and we kind of wasted a lot of the time that we could have had to drop this base more might. So I do think that was our mistake. He did have like a full hospital, like I said, from the zombies, so he basically got, full hospital pretty quickly. I will say he did make a really big mistake here, though. His riders were his worst troop. He had 20/20 on, I think, infantry, on both attack and defense, as well as range, right? But his riders were the only ones, I believe, that were at 1. Not to mention he had bad armaments on, plus he used Ragoro as a support hero here. To be fair, Ragoro might make it less swarm worthy, but even then, I was just kind of confused watching this. We did hurt him a good bit, though. If you didn't see the second rally report, it was like 10-2, so we did drop him a good bit. Like I said, I do wish we had started out with a stronger rally. I was a little bit worried that his base would just melt the rally extremely quickly, so we did try to send in a tank one at first, which, like I said, I regret because we just put out less damage than I was hoping for. But basically, now we go into the next round. We have MXO here, and they are whale heavy. They have Apather, which is Sakjar's account, which is a monster account, obviously 100 mil plus in AOD. They had FAP, who I believe is also maybe 100 mil plus in AOD. Both of them are absolute monsters. They had multiple other like 300 mil, 400 mil players, which were just really hard to kind of overcome. So I knew this fight was going to be painful, which it indeed was. As you can see here, we do have a pretty good field brawl up for zombies, but we just aren't able to focus on zombies, and we get almost no zombie kills. We were trying to get VOV as many of them as possible by kind of holding these guys off. ANKD is Russian as well, so MXO, their ally, hadn't shown up for the zombie fight, which did work out in our favor because we were able to maximize off that, but for the next zombie fight, that wasn't the case. I do wish I recorded something for you guys, because basically what happened was Evolve had a super weapon and they asked if we wanted it, and we said yes. So they basically dropped it kind of halfway towards their helipad, and I random ported down. I grabbed the super weapon, And I basically was getting my base tapped, and I think they thought I had battle fever because I stopped running when someone was like attacking my march, and it basically just hit them back, and I ran it back to my base. And someone random ported to come swarm the super weapon off of me, which was the actual one that you could anchor people with. So I anchored his base there, which was one of their whales, and I just kind of shielded up, and I just kind of laughed at it because it was kind of funny because he wasn't able to go back and help his team on the field, whereas we were just having a free ball. It was just a little funny to me, but yeah, basically we do fight MXO here. They give us a freaking heavy, hard fight. We do give our best fight here. Hopefully they had some fun too, because we try our best, man. We really do. Even though we knew we'd probably lose this, which, yeah, it was freaking painful, like I said. And although I know this is at like the field fights right now, we do basically have a little bit of skirmishes back and forth. Vov kind of pulls these guys and we go to cut them off, and we get some pretty easy kills here, and they keep kind of coming back and forth, and we kind of just drag this fight out for, I think it's like 30 minutes or so. It's a pretty long dragged out fight considering all in all. Very expensive. But I do want to talk about our tower fights, which are going to happen soon. I was actually extremely confused because I think we only had one tower that traded negative, one report, and it was our first report because, we had the wrong garrison in the actual tower. But it was kind of confusing because Apather, for example, has 5k firepower and protection, over 5k firepower and protection, and we had our guy Saint garrisoning against him, and he didn't even restrict his rallies, and I was so confused watching this, and we basically were able to trade positive against some of their strongest rallies just because of the lack of restriction on the rallies, which was super confusing. I don't know if like maybe he's like newer or what, because he did buy the account, but I just thought that was kind of noteworthy. But basically going to this next zombie fight, we go in here and we have no way to push the field. We kind of recognized, okay, this is a lost cause. We kind of were considering fighting over mid, and we kind of realized after the first zombie fight, or at least when the second fight started, we recognized, okay, well, this is a no bueno. We're not going to win a mid fight. There's just no shot, right? We don't have the field power, and even if we did, I don't think we would have been able to out-heal these guys all that much. I mean, we have decent numbers, but it's just nowhere near like what we need here. So we kind of just decide we're going to play the anchor game, but we do just play for picks here. We play for kills, I mean, we just like to fight for the sake of fighting. It's just a little bit fun. So we do fight here, even though we know we're not going to gain zombies. I will say there are some field fights here that I don't understand why we took. Like they just had like there were some times where I feel like we over-egoed where we didn't need to, and at the same time I'm like maybe they were just over-egoing to pull these guys back towards our territory because then we would get really good trades near our territory. I don't know. Sometimes I just think our team egos a little bit too much, but at the same time I guess we can kind of afford it. I mean, given that we were able to fight kind of this long, so I mean it is to each their own, I guess. So I do want to say really quickly, we're about to get into our tower fights, right? And I was actually a little bit surprised we held on at all, to be honest. And the reason I say this is, for example, we had a rider tower. You would really expect these guys to do swarm duty a lot more than they did, especially given that there were at least 2 whales who were on the field getting, I think, millions of deads from not healing, right? So I was assuming, okay, well, these guys are absolute like whale fighters, right? They're ego fighters. There's probably a good chance that these guys are going to be willing to just ego swarm our towers. And I mean, in the case of like a range tower, we could hold that fine. Case of an infantry tower, I think we'd manage, right? But a rider tower would get absolutely clumpered by swarms, as is just kind of evident that they just do not have good counter damage. By the way, I want to actually note that this tower right here has big depops in it, right, with the range garrison, and these guys are just kind of ego swarming it, I think, because they saw like the garrison popped out, but they end up trading 5 to 15 mil. It was kind of crazy that they swarmed as long as they did, even after they see the garrison changes and stuff. I don't know. But yeah, this first tower report was bad for us. It was 9 to 4, and then we kind of started trading better off after that point. Most of it was actually from area of effect, to be honest. I had looked at a lot of these reports, and we didn't always trade positive on the actual rally. Like, for example, I think there was a report where we traded 10 million loss, and the enemy traded 9 million. And you'll see it, but I think it was 12 to 27 mil in the summary report. So it goes from 10 to 9 to 12 to 27 million. That is a crazy jump in damage. This is the report right here. You see 12 to 27, and the actual rally itself is 10 to 9. The amount of AoE you get here is absolutely maddening. And I just love that we can see the summary now, because it kind of puts into I guess just words, you know what I mean? Like how effective area of effect and stuff is. I mean, obviously some of that was swarming, but I think a lot of that was AoE, as you do see them kind of walk around these towers a lot. But yeah, I was surprised these guys didn't swarm our towers more. I really thought we were going to get popped pretty quickly, at least on our like rider type towers, but they didn't really attempt it. So, I mean, I guess that kind of worked out for us, I fought against some whale teams that are super ego swarmy, which works out in their favor, obviously. If you can afford to swarm, especially in something like Genesis, this is such a fast-paced battle that all you need to do is pop your enemy really quickly, and it's just GG's. But all in all, these guys were a pretty good opponent. I would like to fight them in something like Island Raid sometime. That would be pretty fun. Though at the same time, I'm not sure how much I want to fight these guys as well, because they are just whale stacked. But like it still is just fine. Like I like a team that can give us hard pressure, which is why I actually decided like, yo, we're gonna fight these guys. Obviously, I'm not sure if they wanted to ally us, but we decided we weren't going to ally them in any case, just because obviously there would be a lack of fighting. I think I don't really think there was a comparison, at least in field-wise, when it comes to VOV or ANKD in this case. I just think it'd be kind of OD, and I just wouldn't have seen them showing up or deciding to fight or being worth them fighting. So I just assumed like, hey, this isn't worth it isn't even worth like reaching out to MXO, you know what I mean? All the respect though, these guys were a great opponent. Obviously we lost to them, so it's not like I'm saying they're bad. They did try wrapping around on us. As you see here, they are hitting this like back left tower. We kind of just held it to make sure they couldn't just push us within the last 20 minutes, as I believe there were 20 minutes left. You do see here, by the way, they were trading negative against us with the Apather account, which, like I said, has over 5k firepower and protection, but they had no troop restrictions. Half of that rider rally was full of infantry, which was insane to see, and that's probably why they traded as bad as they did. If they restrict their rallies, I mean, they'd crush us. I just like, you know, that's something that they probably should tell the guy to work on or whatever. But yeah, you do see here, this Stella Garrison slapped. Holy, I didn't know how good Crow would trade, but he's been actually doing a really good job with these Stella Garrisons. I am glad with their current build that we're able to hold these towers against MXO, because these guys, like I said, are pretty stacked. I wasn't sure how well we perform here, but it did turn out pretty well, and as you can see here, you know. And I know I've said this a few times, but I feel like a proud father watching these fights as our team has just grown so much. It's crazy looking back to a year ago where we were maybe like 4 billion, 5 billion, and we had just maybe only gotten Big D after the whole invasion that happened. And it was crazy because we got him, and even after the fact, it wasn't all that crazy. You know, we didn't have like a crazy build. We didn't have the ability to fight to this extent. I do actually have a video I was looking at in my my camera roll that I apparently didn't upload. I thought I did, but it was when we had just did the first island raid after we got Big D, which was against UOD and G4. There was no you know, Apex or anything, so it was actually kind of cool to look at and be like, yo, like, this is how strong we were, this is how little field fighting we were capable of doing, and now look at us, we're able to kind of push a good bit. I mean, obviously here I think we're kind of already like low on juice, so you're not going to really see a lot of field fighting here. But yeah, we do have this guy anchored, by the way. We send like a rally in because we use a super weapon that we had on a helipad on like a little filler account, and we kind of just send a rally in here, but we aren't able to fill it fully. They have, you know, double swarms on it. We just don't have the field power to push for this right now, so obviously they pop the rally and they end up saving the guy. But overall, all in all, it was a really good fight. I do appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you, MXO, for a great fight this Genesis. I hope you guys enjoyed, though. I hope you guys have a great day or night, though, and I'll see you guys in the next video, and that is about it. Peace out.